Good morning, everybody. I want to send a sincere welcome to each of you for taking part of your morning to come out here and be part of a milestone occasion for God's Pantry. I want to thank you. This is a huge step for this organization. We've been around since 1955 and continue to grow and expand, and we need to continue to grow and expand to meet the need in front of us. I am Andy Henderson. I serve as chair of our board of directors, and I'm honored to be here in front of you today. I want to take a moment and just recognize some people who are in our audience. First, I know we have multiple board members here as well as past board members. If you're a member of our board now or in the past or chair of the board, would you please just raise your hand so we can all say a thank you? In addition, we have a capacity campaign that's helping oversee our whole project. We welcome them. I find it fascinating. Mike has been our CEO since 2017, and we have two previous CEOs, both of whom are present here today. Mary Jo Votruba and Mary Ann Gwynn, would you wave at us, please? A big thank you to them. We also have a former interim CEO, Amy Sweetall, as well as multiple federal, state, and local officials, including Tatum Dale from Congressman Andy Barr's office, Donna McClure, Megan Vankemper, and Haley Tipton from Senator Mitch McConnell's office, Kentucky Department of Agriculture, Department of Education, Department of Health and Human Services, as well as Lexington Fayette County government officials. In addition, you will meet later individuals from Feeding America Corporate. In addition, I would be remiss if I didn't thank Wabasco, who was a previous owner, to all of you for making this possible. This facility is a reflection of the commitment of our community to serve those in need. Many of our neighbors are hungry, and our goal is to help them in time of need. This is on the shoulders of people in the past who had that vision and had the courage to say, we can do better. And I'm delighted to be part of an organization that strives to meet the needs of all of our neighbors who are hungry. You'll see this facility and get a chance to take a tour. And people tend to think, well, this is a big facility and you store up food for a rainy day. That's not what this is. When you're hungry, every day is a rainy day. This is a working facility. 1 million pounds of food is delivered by God's Pantry every week. I had a little trouble thinking, how much is 1 million pounds of food? Well, let me break it down a little bit. We serve 50 counties. Kentucky has 120 counties. 50 receive food through this facility. There's a sign back at the back. Approximately 265,000 of our neighbors in those 50 counties do not know where the next meal is coming from. The food you see here is roughly a 3-week supply. Food moves in and out of here every single day, and 1 million pounds of food, to break it down, that's 115,000 nutritious meals on tables of our neighbors every day. 115,000 meals, 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, 365 days a year. That's what we do. But it's not enough. There's more of a need and more of a demand for our services, and that's why we're here today to continue to grow in what we do. So, thank you. I will introduce our next speaker, Casey Howland Bryant, Commissioner, Department of Social Services, Lexington Fayette County Government. Thank you.
Can you hear me okay? I am honored to be with you today representing our lovely Honorable Mayor Linda Thornton. I also want to acknowledge our council member, Shayla Lynch, who's in the audience. She represents the 2nd District, which is where God's Pantry is currently located. Some of you either live in Lexington or have visited our city before. You'll find we are unique for a metropolitan area. We are an urban core with a thriving University of Kentucky campus, surrounded by beautiful working agricultural businesses, from crops and livestock to beautiful thoroughbred horse farms. But there's a darker side. We also have areas of Lexington that are considered food deserts or have been disproportionately impacted by unemployment and poverty. The result for the vulnerable populations impacted are food insecurity and hunger. Food insecurity continues to grow. As stated previously, 1 in 6 Kentuckians do not know where their next meal comes from. Imagine that, 1 in 6. The mayor and I are both nurses and understand the physical, mental, and social ramifications of experiencing hunger. It's not pretty. I want to thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart as Commissioner of Social Services to God's Pantry Food Bank for your partnership and tireless work in our community to combat food insecurity. Mr. Halligan will tell you he was one of the first community partners that I grabbed a hold of when I became commissioner, so I understood the importance of his work. I always say that my department, which only has about 100 staff, and we're in a town of about 330,000 people, we cannot serve the complete city of Lexington by ourselves. We depend on our community partners like God's Pantry. We depend on them to help serve the many social and human service needs for our most vulnerable populations. The Lexington State Urban County Government has proudly partnered with God's Pantry via grants like the Extended Social Resource, which we call ESR grants program, and other programs. In fact, God's Pantry was a recipient of our inaugural nonprofit capital projects grant program, which was funded by the American Rescue Plan Act funds. Over the last 11 years, God's Pantry has received approximately $3 billion from LSUCG. With this new facility, even more Lexington families can be served. More children can go to bed with full bellies and reach their full potential as productive citizens in our world. This new home is a beacon for compassion and a transformational step for a food secure Lexington and Commonwealth. The ability to provide 20 million more meals per year is a true game changer in this fight. And it is now my pleasure to introduce our former governor, Steve Beshear, who was governor of Kentucky from 2007 to 2015.
Thank you very much, Casey, for the kind introduction. You know, over the years, I've been introduced in a number of ways. I was proud from 2007 to 2015 to be introduced as I'm Steve Beshear and I'm Governor of Kentucky. But in 2015, I learned that fame is indeed fleeting. And so I finally started introducing myself as I'm Steve Beshear, and I used to be somebody. Now I've arrived at the point to where I just say, I'm Steve Beshear, I'm Andy Staten. I wish you would give a round of applause to the person really responsible for that. That's just lovely. You know, speaking of Andy, he wanted to be here very much. And he asked me to come because he had a conflict. And I can tell you that he understands and is very excited, as are Jane and myself, about this huge step that we're taking for Kentuckians who are in need. You know, when we talk about hunger, I can remember growing up, you know, my mom would say, now you eat those vegetables, you think about those poor starving children in China. How many have heard that? Well, folks, yes, there's hunger there's hunger in Africa, there's hunger in India, there's hunger all around the world. But guess what? We're right in the middle of some real serious issues when it comes to hunger in America. Let me give you a few facts, and I'm just going to elaborate a little bit on what Andy and Casey have said. You know, out of the 25 most food insecure counties in the entire United States, 10 of them are in Kentucky. We have here at God's Pantry a group that has served and is serving 50 counties all across central and eastern Kentucky. In those 50 counties, we have a tremendous number of people who are missing 50 million meals a year. And God's Pantry is stepping up and delivering 40 million of those meals a year, which is the capacity that we can make. That is why this new facility is so important. Because while there is a gap there between the 50 million meals needed and the 40 that we've been delivering, this facility will help us come together and fill that gap. And not only will it fill that gap, but it will give us the capacity to anticipate the next 10 million meals that are going to be done. That's how important this facility is. We've got a couple of challenges. The first challenge, Casey mentioned, I'll mention from the state level, and will mention from the federal level, is making sure that we pull together and keep the resources flowing that are necessary for God's Pantry to do its work. You know, state government, Andy's on board. But we've got to make sure in this group, and all your friends have to make sure that the legislature is on board. Because they handle the budget, and we need to be budgeting more money to support places like God's Pantry. So put that in your hat, and I know we've got some state representatives here today, and I know they're on board with that. And let's just make sure that we talk to all of the folks we know in the legislature and emphasize how important this work is and how important them stepping up and doing their part is. Because this is a united effort. There's no politics to hunger. Hunger's nonpartisan. It's just Kentuckians and Americans. The second challenge we have is to put pressure on our federal representatives and senators, and Benji will talk some about that, I'm sure, because we hit a great milestone, I think, this last year, Mike, in that we delivered 50 million pounds of food for the first time in the 70-year history of God's Pantry. But guess what? A third of that 50 million pounds of food comes through the United States Department of Agriculture. And you know what's being talked about right now? Cutting some of those costs. And we've got to come together as Kentucky and as Americans and make sure that our representatives and senators stand up and keep that money and that food flowing. Because we see the results of it every day. The other challenge I'll mention, which I know Mike would want me to mention, is we're still raising money to pay for this place. And we've got a great start. The whole team is doing a wonderful job of raising the money. But we're not there yet. And so any of you who have already given, dig down and give again. Any of you who haven't given yet will be calling. Because this is so important. And you all know it. We all know it. So I want to finish by saying my thanks, both you and your team, for the great job that you continue to do. Let's give them another round of applause. Now it's my privilege to introduce Vince Hall, who is the Chief Government Relations Officer for Feeding America.
Thank you so much, Governor, and other distinguished speakers. As the Chief Government Relations Officer for Feeding America, it's my principal job to try to be an advocate for this food bank's needs to the United States Department of Agriculture, to Congress, and to the White House. I'm very honored to serve in that role, particularly since I used to be a food bank CEO, and it was a great honor of my life to lead Feeding San Diego out in California. It's also a great honor to be here in Lexington, because even though I grew up in Fresno, California, farm country, my mom flew to Lexington every month because she opened a school of Irish dancing called McTaggart Irish Dancers right here in Lexington. So every month I would ask my mom, "Where are you today?" She said, "I'm in Lexington." And so it was a special place in my family's heart right here in this community. I just want to underscore what Governor Beshear said, that the federal support makes the work of this food bank possible. It's a third of the food supply, which you might think, well, 2/3 of the food isn't coming from the government. But what the government does is makes private philanthropy blossom and thrive. It provides some storage and distribution money that helps to pay for a lot of the expensive equipment and the power and energy. It provides a stable, predictable flow of really diverse and nutritious foods, because what gets donated to the food bank obviously varies in quantity and product type, the timing. And so being able to have that backbone of a stable flow of food showing up at these loading docks that is going to provide the security to the food bank and to its partner agencies across these counties is going to make it possible for everything that's donated to be deliverable and to make sure that every person in need, no matter where they live, is going to have access to that food. The principal legislative vehicle by which all this happens is called the Farm Bill. And the Farm Bill is vitally important to farmers, and it's vitally important to food banks. It's supposed to be reauthorized every 5 years. It was due in 2023, and here we are in 2025, and with my binoculars, I can't see the Farm Bill from here. It is vitally important that Congress get to work on that Farm Bill, because there are important things we need to do for farmers all across the state, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and there are important things that we need to do for the food banks in this state. It is the case that USDA has discretion over funds, some of which have been pulled back from food banks as the new administration considers how it intends to invest those funds. That's been difficult. That's been hard for food banks. But at the same time, the first administration ever to use that funding source for food banks was President Trump in his first term. I want to underscore what the governor said about the fact that hunger is not a partisan issue. The history of solving hunger in this country has been a chain of bipartisan accomplishments. In the late 70s, the Modern SNAP program involved George McGovern and Senator Bob Dole getting together and writing legislation that created what we now know today as SNAP, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, or TFAP. And as you look at this warehouse, there are dozens of rows of food boxes that have the word TFAP on them. You know who started the TFAP program? President Ronald Reagan. The TFAP program reached an apex of its funding during President Trump's first term, as USDA used funding at its discretion to invest very heavily in food purchases for the Emergency Food Assistance Program. And so this is an issue where Democrats, Republicans, and everyone else has always worked together, recognizing that investing in nutrition, investing in food, is investing in human dignity and the quality of human life. It unlocks human potential. It makes it possible for people to thrive. So, thank you. We really can't expect kids to learn well in school when they begin begin and end each day. We can't expect our seniors to thrive and have dignity and enjoy their golden years when they wake up and go to bed each day wondering if they're going to have enough food tomorrow. We can't expect our service members who are wearing the uniform of our country to be focused 100% on the mission in front of them when they're not sure that the family that's behind them is going to have enough food that day. And our Pentagon's own numbers show that 160,000 active duty military families are struggling with food insecurity in this country. That's intolerable. We have veterans, we have people with disabilities, we have all kinds of people in our communities who need this help. But I want to bring it back to rural America because 9 out of the 10 counties with the highest rates of food insecurity in the United States are rural counties. Feeding America food banks are passionately committed to solving hunger everywhere it exists, including rural America, where I'll be honest with you, it's more expensive. You're shipping smaller quantities of food, greater distances, and you're serving smaller numbers of people at each distribution. But rural Americans deserve dignity too. We can't turn our back on the most vulnerable people in our communities and the hardest working people in our communities. And so, being here at God's Pantry Food Bank in Lexington, Kentucky is an opportunity to underscore the vital importance of serving everybody in need, no matter how far away they live and no matter how expensive it is to bring that relief to them, because everybody deserves our respect and our support. It is my honor to introduce the CEO of God's Pantry Food Bank. Somebody who has taught me a lot about this work. Somebody who, when I was the CEO, I regarded as a colleague and a friend and a mentor and an inspiration. Somebody who brought to this role an incredible array of private sector experience in the food industries, particularly with supply chain logistics, and worked at the Feeding America National Office, was on the board of multiple food banks, and really being here in this role, his whole life has come together in synergy with one mission and one focus, and that's this building and this mission and this team. Mike Halligan is, I can tell you, without exaggeration, a thought leader and innovator and somebody that all 250 plus food bank CEOs across the country know, if not by name, by reputation, because what he does tends to get copied elsewhere. And while this community and these 50 counties might be the epicenter of food insecurity in the United States, by solving food insecurity here in Lexington and in the 50 counties of central and eastern Kentucky, you have created the model and the plan by which we will solve hunger nationwide. Please welcome Mike Halligan.
Okay, I have to follow that introduction. Vince, that was very kind. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's been an honor to privilege to Andy, Casey, Andy's dad, or whatever name you would like next to you. Thank you all for taking a few minutes. Thanks to all of you. I am just amazed by the number of faces that I see in the audience this morning, and the time that you have taken to show your support to 265,000 people across the country who experience hunger, facing insecurity every day. Now, I wanted to do a couple of thank yous, and then I've got just a couple of points that I want to make, because what follows this is an opportunity for all of you to get to tour this phenomenal facility, this transformational space that we're in today. And that's really the showcase that we want to share with you, because your support allows us to do this work. So quick, in a way, a couple of additional things. We've got a number of people here from Feeding Kentucky and from other food banks across the Commonwealth of Kentucky. You all can please raise your hand. So thank you all for the work. Each of us dedicates our time because we care deeply about those who are experiencing hunger. And we all have talking points, and we all have facilities, and we all have things that we think about every day. But the one common theme that brings all of us together and brings all of you together is the opportunity that we have to make a difference in the lives of those who we may never see, those who we may never know, but we have an opportunity to provide a hand up, not a hand up. Secondly, I want to recognize the God's people who thank you. If you all could raise your hands real quick. Again, thank you for that very kind and very generous introduction. I'm a cog in the wheel. The work really, what really allows all of this to work is the folks and seniors who just saw those. We introduced Mary Jo and Mary a few minutes ago. Those who came before us are the foundation that allows this building to be here. I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. I want to recognize one more person. Lori and I have been together for almost 44 years. She allows me to do this work. Years ago, my father passed away. And I'm here today because the two of us had a conversation around our dinner table shortly after he passed. And I asked her, I said, I need to do something to give back to the community. And she goes, you work in the food industry, and I try to remember that something. So this facility that you see behind you isn't because we wanted to do it. It's because we need it. For 70 years, God's Pantry Food Bank has been working to reduce hunger, to eliminate food insecurity across Central and Eastern Kentucky. That is the human us when we needed to expand operations, to grow capacity, to be able to feed more people. Whether it's Lynn Hunt's basement, a Parker's Mill, or whether it's our previous facility on Jagan 5, or Forest Road, or many others that you can see on that timeline that you notice already going through. Our work has always been about doing things when they're necessary. Not because we want to. 27,000 square feet. It gives us the ability to store, to sort, to handle, and distribute the 50 million meals that are necessary right now. And Governor Bashir talked about this a moment ago. Last month, we reached 42 million in a 12-month period. This is not. And 265,000 people to 315,000 people who can't. We're concerned that hunger continues to rise across the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We're concerned that hunger continues to rise across the nation. And we are determined, with the support from all of you, to change that trajectory because of this transformation.